Welcome back to the Joint Base Podcast. If you're new, we react to everything military. Today is no different. I use my experience with over a decade spent United States military, from everything from a combat paratrooper to military intelligence. Today, we are jumping into Otto, Episode 5, Arctic Warfare. Let's get it.
A beautiful good morning.
Greetings.
Well, glad you made it. Welcome to Stuttgart Airport.
Yeah, I heard it's going to get really cold where we're headed.
Yeah, right now it's 3 degrees or so below zero?
Yeah.
Where we're going, you can add another 0 to that.
Yeah, really. Arctic training. So ice breaking, what do I do if I fall through the ice? Expeditions, skiing.
I'm hoping for snowmobiles because back in my training, that wasn't included.
Survival.
Yeah.
Arctic survival. But that's a whole different environment.
Yeah. You've actually summed it up pretty well, I think.
I'm really looking forward to it. I love the cold. I packed everything I could.
Plus your equipment.
I'm also looking forward to being able to test that out.
We already had the outfitting to show everyone what kind of gear is actually included in the training.
I think that's going to be really, really cool.
You'll see, it's quite a lot. Now you have Arctic experience. Some things won't be new to you, whether it's the glove system or certain socks. But we'll go over the specifications again. Otherwise, you can look forward to it.
Looking forward.
Definitely very exciting. I suggest we go inside now, load up our equipment, and then we'll get started.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so I'll admit, I've never gone through any Arctic training, no cold weather training. I know the U.S. Army has their Arctic training in Alaska, but honestly, this is the first video I've ever watched regarding Arctic survival, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see what they teach.
Well, one thing you can't say is that the Bundeswehr planes are bad. This is very luxurious. There's a lot of space in here.
And who wouldn't want to sit in a government plane or a Bundeswehr plane like this at least once?
Welcome to Canada.
Welcome to Goose Bay.
Winter is coming.
Now we're heading into a big hangar where all the equipment is supposed to be. And everything we need will be here. I'm really curious about it. We've now arrived at the hangar. The hangar was used here by the Air Force for important flight exercises in Canada. Goose Bay has a really cool history. It really does. Back then, it was the most frequently used base in World War II, with over 24,000 aircraft. We finally arrived now. Now it's time to start with the equipment. In the background, the ski duos are set up, the polks are here, the rear sleds.
The amount of money right there in that room is absolutely insane. I mean, just think about the amount of money that they have already spent. So they loaded up on a plane. They flew to Canada. They are probably going to be staying in some sort of lodging there. They're going to be given food, 3 times a day. They were given their own equipment, and they each have their own jet ski to train on. And a lot of people wonder, what's the difference between a normal soldier and a specialized soldier? It's the budget, 100%.
Everything you need for training. I'm really excited.
I love snow and ice.
First, let's sort out the equipment, and on we go.
us now. Here it's always a basic introduction because of course many people have never been out in such temperatures before. Then you get to know the air mattresses, which are quite special, even with a special filling inside. Like all air mattresses, there's always a risk they get damaged. If you poke them with a stick or something else happens, you have to deal with the kettle, the tent, and so on. Over the next few days, we'll contact all the different materials. First, in a warm, dry environment. And then we'll head outside, which I'm really looking forward to. It's always exciting. There's always something new to learn. I get new tips and ideas, which is cool. You also get to see the instructors here working together again. The Special Forces Command teams up for this. For example, here with our Austrian comrades from the Jagdkommando, which I always especially enjoy, getting to know other units. All I can say is, the guys from the Jagdkommando look exactly how you'd imagine guys from the Jagdkommando would look. So thumbs up, greetings to Austria.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I know Otto was a paratrooper in the German military. He was given a high award from the German military for his time in Afghanistan. And most of his YouTube content is geared around survival, surviving in different environments. But somebody briefly mentioned that he was a part of a show that he was like the last survival, or he won it. If somebody could send that to me, I'll definitely check that out. I probably won't do a reaction to it, but I'm just curious because I want to check it out on my own time.
We've now received our training. The next one will be at the tent, which is a real tent from the brand most people know from outdoor activities.
Hilleberg, so really the creme de la creme.
How do we do this outside? How is it set up? How do we maybe prepare it so that we can handle it more easily? Especially, for example, with cords on the zippers, because with thick gloves on at minus 30 degrees and wind, it can be hard to operate those tiny zippers. So here we practice everything indoors first in the warmth, but I can hardly wait to take it outside and set it up out there. Training session for us now.
That's something that I could appreciate about this unit. I don't know if it's just a KSK thing or if it's a German military thing, but they're given this equipment up front. They're given enough time to be able to find out the capabilities, to find out how to set it up, and just generally go through it to make sure they have a good understanding of how it works prior to getting in the environment. If you remember back, I think it was episode 2, they had that amphibious training where they, set up the Zodiac. They took it apart several times before even putting it into the ocean. And I don't think there's ever been a time in my military time that I can remember having, ample time to mess with my equipment prior to, using it.
Is with the polka. I'm somewhat familiar with the polka. I handled one in Finland. Here too, you can see we have many professionals with us helping as instructors, like HBS and the Army Mountain Guides, for whom this is just everyday life as long as there's snow. I'm really looking forward to it because I've already learned a lot of new things, especially about the towing system, what equipment is available, and how you might improve it using the team's field knowledge. I know that a polka can be real torture, especially if you're not good at skiing, and I'm not good at it.
Skiing. Could this get sporty?
You end up in the snow a lot, really a lot. The good thing is my body is really good at it. Skiing. So hope dies last that I'll make it through this, okay?
I only understood it as a half-grown boy.
Currently in the training phase that deals with the burner, because out here we need equipment that works even at minus 20 or 30 degrees and in the wind. And here especially the burner. What for? Not just for cooking food, well that too, but mainly for melting snow and generating water. This is a multi-fuel burner where you can burn all sorts of things. Diesel, kerosene, regular gasoline. What's used here is whatever is easiest and least susceptible to low temperatures. And now everyone is being familiarized with the equipment so that when we go out, everyone knows how to melt water and have something to drink. How do you melt snow? I thought we were doing everything ourselves. Only in the immediate environment.
Honestly, in the service years you took off your stack, doesn't let it.
We can already feel it after just a few minutes. It almost hurts my eyes when I exhale. But our Austrian comrade says, these are nice warm temperatures. Maybe it will get really cold at some point. But I don't know if he was kidding me. I'm actually really looking forward to it. So, tough but awesome. To cool down, mole windle is carefully made from sand and tape. Now it's time to move outside to the German camp. Setting up camp, the sun is shining, the wind is howling minus, I have no idea how much, minus 20 degrees. It'll be good. The outpost is really deep in nature and truly can't be reached by bus at all. From here on, you can only continue with a snowmobile and skis. I can't imagine a better or more suitable place for survival training than this harsh, inhospitable landscape. The biting...
I just want to say, what a freaking fantastic opportunity Otto has to embed himself with the KSK and to be thrown into this Arctic survival school. Like, yes, it's cold, it's going to suck, but the amount of like training and experience he's going to get from the schoolhouse, like it's going to be crazy. And it also makes really good YouTube content because, I mean, I can't think of one other YouTuber that has gone and embedded into a military school. I think there was one for Outdoor Boys did that one time in Jungle School. But, I mean, dude, if more YouTubers did this, I would watch it. Like, if I was given the opportunity to do this, I would 100% do it. So maybe that's something I should start considering.
Cold cuts sharply into your face. And the farther we go, the more vast the landscape becomes. There's no warm shelter here anymore, just the German camp, deep within the forest, right by the frozen Goose Bay.
Wow.
Many survival challenges are waiting for us here. Building sturdy shelters, carefully setting traps, tracking, and more. We are immediately split into pairs, and from this point on, we are now on our own. Home doesn't just feel far away here, it really is. We've just arrived at the German camp. For me, that means changing into snow camouflage with my buddy right away. And then we'll see what the next steps are. As far as I know, the first thing on the schedule today is, of course, moving into our accommodations. That doesn't mean a house, but tents. Over the next days, it continues until you end up in an emergency shelter. I'm really looking forward to the training. It's going to be really good. The nice thing is, the wind isn't howling here right now. It was frosty, cold. You really feel it, especially on your nose. But it's still bearable. The instructor has now gathered everyone together. And for the first few nights, we're basically staying in the tents. And they're very close to the main camp. This is all basic training and it's just beautifully picturesque. Everyone trudging through the snow. I'm curious where my buddies and my spot will be.
Do you know how long you have to stay outside now?
6 days. So we spent 2 nights staying in the tent, followed by 2 nights in the emergency shelter. And then after that, 2 more nights marching.
Yes, thank you. So Otto, you're dressed up very nicely today. You've had your first orientation lessons. We were in the hangar, prepared the equipment, and now we're in the middle of the wilderness in our camp. Yes, of course.
The German camp.
We've already had a little tour, which I find super exciting, just seeing the kind of structure that's been created here. I think it's truly unique, with a view of Goose Bay. Dense forest behind us, where the campsites have now been set up. So I'm really looking forward to it, and so far I have to say the equipment is working out, as they say.
What do you think will be the most exciting thing over the next few days?
I really love cold, snow, and ice, and I've spent a lot of time in those conditions.
So improvised shelters are always a great topic for me, better than tents. But of course, this is a basic training course here, ranging from easy to really tough.
Yeah, I know I kind of stopped out at a weird spot there. You know, I'm kind of with Otto. Sure, like some makeshift shelters would be kind of cool to see. But for me, I kind of want to see like setting traps for game, you know, like small game. Because I can imagine in this environment that food is very scarce. So, I don't know. We'll see.
I'm looking forward to it, especially because there are so many great instructors here. To learn something from them, maybe pick up a few tricks. Ice jumping. I've done it a few times before, so I know what to expect. Yeah, I'm not really sure if I actually feel like doing it right now, you know.
You said it yourself. Your advantage is that you've already done much of this, whether during your military training or in your private life. But for the candidates, this is usually their first time. And of course, they're going to have the same problems you had the first time. What about my fingers? What about my shoes? It's going to get very cold and it might be tiring. Right now, everyone's in good spirits and setting up in the background. They're putting up their tent, see how things will be tomorrow.
I'm curious. The good thing is, you learn quickly by watching and learning from each other. You can always ask questions. Yeah, it'll be good. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
We also offer a controlled learning environment, which means from easy to difficult. But at some point, it does get pretty tough.
The military part is something many people just don't understand. One thing is the civilian side, outdoor, bushcraft, onions, whatever, but when it comes to the military side, the guys have plate carriers, they have crests with them, helmets, night vision devices. It's also a different way of moving, a different way of working.
What do you think of the equipment so far?
Equipment is a 10 out of 10, you have to say. The shoes, I'm curious about those. I haven't noticed anything. Cold. Basically, it's like onion layers. There really is a ton of equipment the guys get. I think you can still adjust things a bit to your own preferences. One jacket less, one more. Whether to take the undershirt or the long one. Just the hats and gloves, how many pairs we got is really crazy.
So the amount of equipment is necessary because our mission isn't just about spending 2 or 3 days doing a bit of survival stuff for ourselves. In an emergency, we could be out there for weeks carrying out various tasks. And for that, you constantly need a change of clothes or something else.
Yeah, especially when you can't make a fire and things like that. That's also the thing. Tactically, it's not like we make a huge bonfire blazing 1.5 meters high to warm ourselves up. Instead, you have a small stove set deep down, hanging in a snow hole, just to melt your water, to melt your snow.
Speaking of making fire, how are your fire making skills?
Did you practice a lot beforehand? Actually, I didn't practice. And I looked around here, and honestly, I haven't seen any birch trees here yet.
Yes, there are still a few here.
I think I'm actually quite good at making fire. I would almost say I'm good at it, but I also know it's always very difficult in Arctic conditions. Yes, we'll see. We will test it. We do. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Thank you so much for making this work. Gladly. Now it's time to set up camp. I wish you a lot of fun. Thank you, thank you.
Something the instructor briefly touched on, I kind of want to expand, is he's mentioning, as a civilian, you can go out into the wilderness, you can learn how to build a shelter, how to collect food, how to get water, all the keys to survival. But for the military guys, especially those deployed in a combat zone, they are worried about security. So like when I was in the infantry, we would set up an observation point, and we would have priorities of work. And one of those priorities of work, the main thing would always be security. So like you can learn how to build a shelter in the civilian world, but in the military world, you're thinking, okay, well, can I see this shelter from a roadway? In fact, how close is that roadway? What are the most likely points that the military is going to attack me from? What is their avenue of approach? Where can I, if I get in a pinch, where can I depart? All those things come into play from a military standpoint. That makes it so much more difficult than just going out by yourself and learning to live off the land.
I'm just thinking, I think I would clear the snow from the vestibule. We're going there now. We've been assigned our campsite. With the open area now, the good thing is there's just not much snow, but snow also has big advantages. We're going to do it so that we keep one part as snow-free as possible where the vestibule is and where the equipment goes in. We clear the other part of sticks, stones, and anything that could poke through the tent, since that's where we'll be sleeping. We also leave the snow there, just compact it and make it as level as possible because the ground is a bit uneven. So where we sleep there will be snow, but it's been leveled out. The vestibule is snow-free, and then we set up the tent. That is some really very beautiful moss. My God, that's just complete nonsense, honestly, because otherwise nothing else will go on top. We've now set up the tent. So far, it looks pretty good. We haven't been inside yet to take a look. For us, that means the next few hours we'll be living out in the field. So, preparing our gear inside the tent. That means we go in, set up the sleeping pads carefully, gently inflate them, and lay out the sleeping bag so it can fluff up a bit. It's a down sleeping bag. Then water and food. We have a couple with us, so we're also taking care of ourselves out here in the field. And then, so to speak, things only continue in the early evening. With the official training, by then, we want to have everything prepared. Because we also have to find our way around here in the dark tonight. Sure, with flashlights, with lamps, with headlamps. But it just helps to work quickly now so that later you can crawl into your tent and say, yeah, everything's set up nicely. I'm happy with the spot. The spot is nice. In the tent. Actually, I very rarely sleep outside. I do have 2 or 3 tents. But I couldn't tell you the last time I spent a night in a proper tent. I usually just build myself something. Emergency shelters. That means with a tarp, with a sheet, or with a bivy sack, or with some kind of natural materials. But a tent also has its disadvantages, especially in these temperatures. You breathe into the tent, and somewhere, of course, frost forms from your breath, which then falls back down as snow if you touch it the wrong way. But it also has its advantages. When the wind is really howling, it doesn't matter which direction it comes from. We're protected in there, inside. We're slowly feeling our way forward, and I already knew that during training. We start with the tent, and then we move on to building emergency shelters ourselves, and I think that's a good start.
I just want to briefly say I appreciate all the newest subscribers, especially over the last couple months. Greatly appreciate it. As most of you know, I do this just for fun. In fact, these videos make no monetary value. They're all copyrighted. They're not eligible to be monetized. And so what I did is I created a membership page that will allow certain perks for a small fee. You can go check that out if you're interested. But, I've really been debating over the last couple days the direction of the channel. I'm kind of unsure what I want to do right now. I know I want to do a podcast. I know I want to do a few live streams. If any of you have any ideas of things that you would like to see going forward, please let me know down in the comment section. I read every single one of them, but let's get back to the video.
Put the black thing inside the sleeping bag, right? Otherwise you wouldn't still be here with us, you know. Alright, just go ahead and put it on first, okay? Let me know when you're ready. You often forget to drink in these regions. An old trapper trick I learned in Finland. A bit of snow in the cup because of course we were smart and already brought something warm with us. Then I can melt the snow and have the hot drink from the thermos ready to drink. Perfect. Then you can fill up the bed. I'm looking forward to the next few days. It's going to be good. Now, a bit of luxury again with the tent. But once again, it proves that work is the best jacket. Exactly. That saying holds true once again. The next thing we're going to do now is prepare our cooking area. That means we're going to make a pile of snow. Unfortunately, it hasn't snowed enough for us to have 1.5 or 2 meters of snow, just so we have the cooking area a bit elevated. It actually sounds kind of funny, but we'll have to use it to simply get water by melting snow. And we want to have it at a working height that's not too uncomfortable. And yes, later we'll take turns cooking there. Basically in parallel. One melts snow, the other takes the water, and then can use it to prepare something. Perfect. We've set up our outdoor grill, our outdoor kitchen. Now it's time to fire up the stove and make some hot water. Maybe also a little something to eat. Should we make ourselves a little snack? Yeah, right? I just took off my gloves for a moment to work on something here. Of course, with gloves on, you always have very little feeling. And underneath those are even thinner ones, the contact gloves. But the metal and everything here gets so freezing cold. You notice it right away.
Yeah, I get it. Like in this environment, in this Arctic environment, you need multiple layers of gloves to be able to avoid frostbite. But for me, in multiple military courses I've been through, and even shooting on the civilian side, like I hate manipulating weapons with gloves on. I cannot stand it. Like even realistically anything with gloves on. Like every once in a while, you just have to pull your gloves off and be able to use your bare hand to be able to get the task done. But in this environment, like he said, mentioning with working with all these metal, aluminum type objects, like you're going to need gloves on. There's no way you're going to be able to touch that with your bare hand in this temperature.
I just accidentally held something in my mouth and immediately noticed it freezes and sticks. Here you really have to work with gloves on, no exceptions. You always have to hold yourself back from doing something with bare fingers. I prefer potatoes to couscous. You? I thought it was moose stew with no idea what. Sweet potatoes or something like that. That already sounds pretty awesome, you know?
It sounds pretty good.
Oh, but it smells good. We're warming it up nicely here with our EPA. And it really does smell fantastic. We've cooked. We're having potato and chervil stew. Vegetarian? What do you think? Couscous, vegetarian. That tastes good.
Going on long distance marches in the cold weather is very tricky. And when I was a drill sergeant and we would, go on these long distance rucks with soldiers, we would always check them prior to stepping off, because what they would do is they would wake up, they would get out of their sleeping bag, and they would load up with all these thermals on their, like cold weather thermals that keep their body nice and warm. And then when they stepped off, they don't realize their body is very good at regulating body temperature, and how it does that is by sweating, obviously. So, when they're about 3 miles into a ruck march, they have all these thermals on, their body sweating. They get very overheated. So this is actually a very good exercise for these guys, because now they know exactly what they do need and what they don't need, for these long distance ruck marches. I'm sure they're probably wearing less than they usually do when they're sitting still. I don't know. Maybe they'll talk about it.
Now it's time to determine the double step count. You especially need this when you're traveling without GPS, or if the GPS is disrupted, so you know how many double steps you need for 100 meters. For example, if I know I have a certain destination, a certain distance to cover using a compass, say 1.7 kilometers, I can then calculate how many double steps I need to get there. We'll do that now on flat ground. Normally, of course, you'd also do this deep in the snow, but unfortunately, we don't have deep snow here. First with the snowshoes and then with the skis. Double step count on the snowshoes. Now determined by me, 66. With this, you just need to make sure you don't walk too fast when you set this. Let's see on the way back.
And for you?
It was 72. Okay, then I should check right away. Each of us has a day pack with us. That's emergency equipment. And emergency equipment always has to be on you. That means something warm to drink, a change of clothes, a few emergency items like a shovel and so on. Plus, of course, all the tactical stuff. Do the guys have their weapons and gear with them? Because if you were to count your steps now just casually, it would never match up with when you're fully loaded with combat gear.
What's pretty interesting as well is you can even do this for, like I would do this, is when I would do land navigation, if I'm trying to do that as quick as I can, I would obviously be moving at a faster pace. So I would do a walking pace of 66 steps to be able to reach 100 meters. But you could also do like a light jog and to be able to get, what your step count is for that as well. Because if you're in a rush and you're trying to hurry and you're using your previous step count for when you're walking, it's going to be way off. So he actually explained that very well. I won't go into depth with it.
First day outside, night sight at the end. First, we were transported by bus. Then we hiked and spent time in the ski dormitory, had space for the group or space. That was set up by the teams and it turned out really well. Melted snow, prepared some food, counted our steps.
Meals from the ski and from the field rations. Now, in the evening, there's still a lesson in the lesson block hut, and life in the field continues to go well. An unbelievably beautiful area, I have to say. But you can tell it's getting really cold here. Now we're going to go and melt some more water, get our hot water bottles ready for the night, make ourselves a little something to eat, and then it's into the sleeping bags. By now, we've become a well-coordinated team. Stove on full blast, both stoves on full blast. I decided on an indulgent and delightful dessert cream, along with some zesty, fresh lemon to help warm it up a bit. So that's a complete and satisfying meal. Now let's blast in one more time. No, but maybe it's a meal. I have no idea how many calories that stuff has. So what do we have here? Calorific value? This has a nutritional value of 436 kilocalories per 100 grams. That's a total of 60,280 calories overall. 300 should be just fine for this purpose. Thermos flask. I would also say we should take the thermos flasks into our main tent, then we'll have everything we need to heat up properly tomorrow. I feel warm all over now. Very pleasant right now, isn't it? I think it was quite good to have just briefly rolled the dice. Yes, but what we use for food now, we have to melt again immediately. I would also say that we have everything ready. Great. So the sleeping bag is more than just a 10 out of 10. We worked really well together as a buddy team. I actually slept really warmly. Of course, in the early morning, it takes a bit of time to get everything on, especially all the socks, the shoes, and so on. But we complemented each other well. One person got themselves ready while the other started melting snow to make hot water. Then we switched, then made breakfast, prepared water so that everyone always has 2 liters of hot water. You can also add a bit of tea for the day. And I have the feeling that it's already working really, really well.
So if you made it to this point, we should be about halfway. I know this video right off the bat's like an hour long. That's prior to my commentary. So for those of you that are watching, I just want you to know I do greatly appreciate you watching. It definitely helps up the channel. I enjoy watching these videos, and obviously there's more people just like me. I will not be breaking this into 2 parts, just going straight solid all the way through. So keep going. Very good camouflage.
My personal impression was that the green Corinthia was somewhat harder to spot than the white yachts. If I cut myself in there, go 1.5 to 2 meters, 100 meters offset, then I'm nicely out of here. For example, we just did a training station, recognizing different, let's say, people in the forest, what different clothes they have. What's the point of wearing all white? What's the point of wearing all green? Or mixing white and green? How do people move? When am I even able to spot someone? Sometimes it's just crazy when you see how long it takes or how fast it goes. For example, if you're out there being tactical, wearing big glasses that might reflect. But now, on to the next training station. Here, it's about setting up different types of shelters and observation points in the forest. We can't go too deep into some of these things because, of course, they're tactical and not meant for the outside world, but it's very, very fascinating.
Nature as well as from indigenous peoples, they have different water sources. If I don't have a proper shelter, no decent place to stay, just something simple, something really quick. We have our tarp. I use something natural here. I have an uprooted tree stump. What kind of tree is that? A spruce tree. The tarp is firmly attached, quickly set up, and now I have a dependable windbreak. Great option, works without any effort. Of course, I also have to make sure it goes quickly. All right, if we look inside, I actually have quite a large living space in there. Make sure there's not too much sticking out on top so the top doesn't tear. Boom, top over it. I've got my A-frame, and where do I start covering? Top to bottom, bottom to top, bottom to top. Here we have a classic warming fire. What do you think this is good for? I think it's for keeping warm. It burns through the night. You can easily make it through a night without a sleeping bag if you build a warming fire like this. There's almost no smoke. The logs burn almost smoke-free.
That's kind of the stuff that I wish they showed in more detail. Even with this guy talking here, like, I kind of wish most of the video was him just going. I mean, obviously they're very particular in what they show. He's probably not eligible to show a whole lot of stuff, but this is the stuff that's fascinating to me. You know, especially going over the lean-to shelters and the different types of fires that they could build. I don't know. This was the kind of stuff I really wanted to see.
I have excellent air circulation simply because of this open construction, and it's just the most practical and effective way. Nothing collapses on me here like it does with other fires. Of course, sometimes it burns unevenly, which is to be expected, but that does not really matter. Even if it's a little bit crooked, I just keep on adding more firewood on top. It radiates heat extremely well in all directions, efficiently and consistently, and is actually the most common method of heat transfer that occurs in many everyday situations.
See how good at building a fire he really is.
The wind here is no joke. It's so strong and unpredictable that it makes every task much more difficult than it would be in calmer conditions. I almost found myself rushing through everything again, just like I have in the past when I let the pressure get to me. Despite that, I managed to build the whole wall, which was a real challenge given how the wind kept me cool. I also gathered some grass from over there, which helped me a bit better prepared for what's coming next. The reason for all this preparation is a fire test. This isn't just a simple exercise, it's a way to see how well we can make a fire under pressure, especially with something unexpected.
It's good to me. Seems to be translating the guy in the background's voice and not Otto's. It's kind of weird.
Then we have to have a fire going within just 5 minutes. But the good thing is we're actually allowed to prepare tinder in advance. We just have to use only natural materials. That means we have birch bark that we can use as well as a little bit of spruce, and that's it. We're not allowed to pack any wood in advance, so really just birch bark or other dry materials. I found some grasses in the back area that also burn quite well. So the fire is started with a fire steel. Training was also provided, at least in part, by comrades from the Special Forces. Fire is always its own special topic, and in the military, it's always the fire steel. Everyone has a standard issue fire steel, which is considered essential equipment. For those who have never done it before, it's actually not that easy at first. That means whenever there's a break or tonight at camp, I'll make sure to carefully and thoroughly prepare my tinder really well, making sure that I always have it ready to go at a moment's notice. Because when it's time for the fire test, I'd really like to be as prepared as possible.
You almost made that sound like everyone in the German military learns how to build a fire and they're issued a fire starter. Is that true? Because if so, that's pretty freaking cool, because in the U.S. military, as far as I know, across all branches, that is not the case in basic training, which granted is not that difficult to build a fire, but to build a fire properly is the key.
We're now at the next training station where we've just been shown a lot about emergency shelters. After all, you don't always have a tent with you. In fact, that's rarely the case. So we've been shown various options. Now, with our buddy, we have time to build an emergency shelter using few materials. In the next days, resources will be reduced even more to show you can get by with very little. We've already built a frame, used a tarp for the top as protection, and now we're adding brushwood and tree trunks to make a forest runner's bed, because we want to sleep comfortably too. I've seen a few cool ideas I'd like to try when I have more time, probably somewhere in Germany, because here, there's just not enough time to put together something really awesome over several days. But this will get us through the night, or nights, we're not sure yet. Here at our shelter, part of it is already done. So first we built a small sturdy frame, laid the tarp over it, and secured it. We added a few crossbars on the left and right sides to make the whole thing pretty stable. Because we have to assume that it might snow, which means I need a certain load-bearing capacity for snow. And it also has to be stretched tight enough. Ideally, there should also be little wind in the camp, since we're lying pretty exposed in our sleeping bags. That's why next we're going to gather a lot of brushwood so we can close off the sides, and if possible a bit at the front too. It depends on whether we can find enough wood for that. Dead wood. Because even here, we're not allowed to act like a bull in a china shop and just cut down trees. My goal is to build a really cozy camp where we're sheltered from the wind and can say, yeah, you can sleep well here. It would actually be enough to simply do it like this with the sleeping bag as shown. The plan now is...
To my understanding, Otto's got quite a bit of experience and training in emergency shelters and survival, out in the wilderness. So the guy that actually got paired with him probably got pretty fortunate out of all this, because he probably has to do a lot less work than he normally would have to do.
To make the top tarp round here, carefully place it over the top so that we can tie it off to the tree trunk in front, so that when the cold air falls from above, it doesn't have the biggest effect on what's underneath. You just can't get enough of these icy landscapes. In the next episodes, even more truly breathtaking and spectacular shots await you, so please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss anything important. Our shelter is gradually getting better and better. We've already done some construction work here. First, we carefully dug out a fire pit down here. Then we built ourselves a sturdy bench, gathered up a lot more brushwood. Honestly, I have no idea how many centimeters of brushwood we managed to pack in there. Closed up the sides, and finally added the tarp up top, which can be used as an awning and folded down at night. So we always sit here nice and cozy together. There it is. Our shelter looks absolutely great. It's really amazing because you notice that as soon as you move, you get really, really warm. But as soon as you stop moving and finally sit down, the cold gradually creeps in everywhere, making itself felt all over. And we've also learned that keeping busy is truly the best jacket, and to always make sure to drink something, even just a little in between. It's now 4 p.m., so we still have about an hour left to try to improve things here. We'll do that now.
Afterwards, there will be food and lessons.
It's fun. No matter how physically and mentally exhausting it is, it's fun. And I have to say again, even in conversations with the instructors, the guys here are really going through a very demanding training. Of course, the amount of knowledge that's imparted over these 2.5 years, or however long it takes, is substantial. It's just a lot. A few months ago, I was still in Key West enjoying the warm sun, and the next moment I'm sitting in Newfoundland, Canada, and I'm grateful to be part of this.
You know, it is kind of crazy to think about, that these guys, for those of you who don't know, that essentially he's attaching himself to the KSK through their 2.5 year long pipeline. And, just a few months ago, this guy was working with the KSK in Florida, where they were doing amphibious training there out in the ocean. And now here he is, a few months later, doing Arctic survival training. It just kind of goes to show the budget of the KSK, the amount of training they have. And I mean, it's just kind of crazy to think about that they go through 2.5 years of training. The thing I think about is like, what does the German military get out of that? After that 2.5 year training pipeline, do they get 5 years out of them? Do they get 10 years out of them? I mean, if somebody knows, let me know.
Unfortunately, you can't really show much of the nature here. Everything here is these little spruce forests, and when you think of spruces in Germany, they're usually not old. But here they're often very old because they grow extremely slowly due to the temperature, and of course we were instructed to only take dead wood. There was a pile where we were allowed to help ourselves from all around us. The guys are already crafting quite a bit at the moment, and there's another group back there, and further to the left there's yet another group as well. We're building out our hut a bit here so that we already have some small heat shields, or rather, you could say some basic heat protection for ourselves. A heat shield that reflects heat when the fire is actively burning inside towards our camp area. Just ignore that up there, because it will be folded down later. Looks really good. All right, I'm going to quickly check on our neighbors to see what they're up to. So I thought I'd come over and see how things are looking here with you guys, just to check in and see how everyone is doing. Siggy, all right, I noticed you've got something to sit on here too, which should make things a bit more comfortable for you. And you can see the top in front. It really does look cozy, like a nice spot to relax. The way everything is set up here gives off a warm and inviting feeling, making it a pleasant place to spend some time together. Welcome to MTV. That's how it is. Looks really good.
That's a nice setup.
Someone else had the same idea. We built it in too. Next time, we'll definitely check it out here. But this really looks amazing, especially since it's not protected on the left and right sides either. Did you build a hunter's bed underneath or not? No, I don't really know either because we have the air mattress with us. I'm not sure if we're actually allowed to use it here since there could be certain rules or restrictions about what kinds of bedding are permitted in this place. We just assumed it would be fine to use, but we never really checked with anyone in charge to confirm. Still, it was really awesome to have, especially from the left side. Completely sealed except from the front, which made it feel very cozy and protected from the wind. Do you still have a tarp over it for extra protection? There was also a lesson about navigation in different countries, discussing the different types and what you have to watch out for behind us. We're finishing it up now, and then it's time to get on the cross-country skis and do a little night march tonight to see how things work with night vision devices. There are
Nice.
different special forces commands, so not just one type of night vision device, how it works with them, and how you can get from A to B effectively. So, a bit more action for the evening? Alright guys, back with the beloved skis. Now it's time to boil some more hot water, restock all the supplies, brush my teeth, and get out of my clothes. That's always a bit of a process in the evening, especially taking off these big expedition boots with the inner liners, but it all works out. The entryway is full of gear. Now it's finally time to really enjoy the wonderful, comforting smell of the sleeping bag very soon. I'm genuinely looking forward to that moment. It's definitely going to be really good. Good night to you all.
I'm actually a little surprised here. I thought I would be able to see them sleeping in that emergency shelter. I guess realistically, at the end of the day, it's training, and it's probably a little bit of a safety issue there. But I mean, I'm sure they're glad they're in the tent.
Good morning, everyone. Time to get up. I hope you are ready. The night was great in the sleeping bag, but of course it was cold, and now we've split up tasks again. Today, we're switching roles, and I woke up feeling really well and refreshed today. Now it's time to divide up the work again. I'm going to go and carefully brush off the frost that's built up on the tent now. Just took out the sleeping bags, and the snow is really coming down from above, falling steadily and blanketing everything in a thick white layer.
Gosh, that's crazy.
You can always see what kind of little house naturally forms from the snow. Just from simply breathing, that's how it happens.
Wow.
We've really settled in slowly, you have to say. Unfortunately, the tent won't be our shelter for tonight anymore. Also unfortunately, because next on the agenda is expanding the emergency shelter. So the shelter, which we'll actually be moving into for tonight. Then there are even more training sessions planned. Tracking, reading tracks, building traps, a lot of different things. You
Yes.
just notice here that everything simply takes its time. When I get water here from snow, it just takes time. Every morning, it's always checked whether everyone has at least 2 thermos flasks full of hot water with them. Heat is simply important, drinking is important, and that's what we're working on right now.
You're actually not really supposed to drink coffee when it's at cold temperatures, but despite that, we're going to treat ourselves to one right now, just this once.
Has anyone noticed that the soundtracks in like his videos kind of give me like Stranger Things vibes? I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but
Tonight, we'll actually be moving into our emergency shelter. and I'm already really looking forward to it. The temporary tent shelter was great, and I just honestly like that not everything is the same. At first, we slept at the base, then in the tent, and now the emergency shelter.
Nice.
Later, we'll collect some more brushwood that we're given because the instructors have mentioned several times that normally, if you had to gather everything yourself, and I think some of you know what that's like, it takes forever to collect all the brushwood on your own, and especially here, we don't do that so the forest can remain as it is. Instead, there's someone who organizes and provides it from places where the trees would probably be cut down anyway. Otherwise, after a few years of sun, it would just be a desert. So today we'll tinker a bit more with our shelter, and then tonight it's time to move in. I'm really looking forward to that. But first we have a few training sessions coming up. I'm really happy and quite relieved about the birch bark right now because we know that the fire test or fire drill is coming up soon. And not just once. So we're prepared in case someone falls into the water or we have an emergency situation in general. I always keep some ready to grab in the outer pockets of my gear. Little bags with birch bark, and you can never have too much birch bark. I've already torn one bag into very tiny pieces. Another one a bit more coarsely torn, and I have a feeling that today is the day when...
You know, I can appreciate that about Otto is that he doesn't seem like he's doing this KSK series just for the content. You know, he's not sure he's a content creator and that we enjoy watching these. But he's generally concerned about this test that they're going to give him, that he's, you know, he's not even here on a military assignment. You know, he's a civilian. And I think that says a lot about his character, that he's not just coming here to take advantage of it for monetary gain. Like, he generally enjoys doing this type of, you know, this type of adventure.
And the first fire drill will be called. I've already prepared that. You can never have enough of it. Of course, all good here, brotherly. Thank you so much. That's great. Some fat wood would be good too. We're actually having the fire drill we wanted to do right now, and somehow that was just obvious. Alright, that's definitely about to happen now. That means now we'll have 5 minutes, because at the beginning I need to make a bit more fire, like firewood, and get the kindling material out.
I mean, honestly, it looks like he was probably one of the front runners on that one. I mean, he's definitely taking this pretty serious and obviously knows what he's doing.
Fire drill. It was obvious this had to happen at some point. The instructor put the whistle to his mouth and everyone knew, okay, now comes the fire drill.
It worked out well.
I think I was first or second, but I also prepared well. But I think that's not really the point. It's more about staying within the time. Still, of course, it's nice when you don't mess up, because there's always a bit of pressure. It worked out well. I don't know if everyone managed to do it in time, but it's supposed to happen more often, and I think many people did. We were also able to prepare birch bark, and preparing birch bark and similar materials, I would go and collect from the forest.
I think a lot of people really did get birch bark in that time, not everyone, but we just had the duty supervisor here from Major who always says the guys keep working, no breaks. No, as they always say, camp construction is never finished. Now we're making a nice cookie.
So if you're still here, you're probably like the 5% left. Probably not even 5%. It's probably less than that. But if you're still watching this, I know you're pretty serious about this channel. And honestly, your opinion matters to me because you are the person that keeps this channel going. So I know I said it before, I want to know where you want this channel to go. Do we want to keep watching reactions? Maybe we could do some like live stream reactions, something like that. I don't know. I definitely need some more feedback to keep this channel going. Obviously, this is not my full-time job. I just do it for kind of fun. But let me know. Let me know.
Area and everything so that we can cook and work here at a reasonable height.
The camp is okay so far, but you can always improve it. A makeshift camp like this is never really finished. You can only set up the tent once. There's not much more you can do. So we improve things wherever we can when we have the time.
At this station, we're going to talk a bit in theory about animal food procurement. And if you build it wrong, it can be animal cruelty. I don't want to hunt any tree-dwelling animals now. I think, considering the 15 grams that one weighs, the animal is just too light, or rather...
It's oversized, so it'll just walk right through the loop and nothing will happen at all. No matter what, I have to carefully adjust the wire thickness as well as the size of the loop accordingly, regardless of the object's size. What's important here is that you always twist the wire exactly like this. So then I set up the loop in this specific way, making sure everything is properly aligned and secure before moving on to the next step. What will be important in terms of size? Exactly, I should size it roughly according to the specific animal I want to hunt. If it's too big, then the hare or whatever animal I am targeting will just hop right through the trap. And if it's too small, it simply won't work at all. Now we have the next training station, and this time it's about procuring food, specifically by setting traps. What do I need to pay attention to? A very fascinating topic, of course a controversial one, but in an emergency situation, if I have nothing, animal food is obviously king. Now we have a course where it's about what kinds of traps you can set, what they should look like. Animal tracks. Where can I see which animals are around? Of course, as a hunter, I know parts of this already, but you always keep learning. It's interesting. If there's really nothing around, I can partially notch or cut a tree, quickly bring it down so that it's still anchored to the main trunk, and then simply attach my snares there. Used a few interesting traps.
Here too, you
can see I keep bringing in experience from past decades among ourselves, exchange between people who have already done it. And here is simply a basic wire trap. Instead of wild constructions, because in a real emergency, you know you have to set many traps just to catch anything at all. If you spend 3 hours building one trap, it's better to use those 3 hours to build 10 traps and have a better chance of catching something. Next station, building items or racks that we can use to help us dry our clothes more effectively, because I can already see when I look far out onto the ice that a huge hole is currently being carefully sawed into the ice.
It'd be kind of interesting to see what they do here, if they maybe cut open a hole and make people jump in. I don't really see the educational value in that, so I don't really think that's what they're going to do, but maybe they'll teach them how to open up the ice and ice fish or something, who knows. Gosh.
What else do we want to know? For example, the number. I'm not going to do it, but if I add them, I know when it will be ready. Currently an exciting training on the topic. Reading tracks, covering tracks, and considering what is even possible in the snow. There's probably not much to talk about here, but it's still extremely fascinating. Now it's time for field life back to camp. First, we're finally allowed to make a proper fire.
Nice.
And honestly, since we were stumbling around quite a bit or just standing in the wind, we're really looking forward to a little campfire now. We're allowed to light one. We're not supposed to make a huge bonfire, but we are allowed to make a small fire. I'm really looking forward to that.
Bet they'll sleep good tonight.
Let it steep for a full 10 minutes, sitting quietly and comfortably by the campfire. Reflecting on the camp, reflecting on the day. You have to say the days always go by really quickly. They just fly by. We're always up and about just before 6. And it takes a while to get all the gear on, to get dressed. Turning snow into water, so to speak, with the stoves. Having breakfast early in the morning, starting training, and today we had some exciting things again. We did trap building, we tracked footprints, reading tracks, covering tracks, types of construction. I'll just call them drying racks for now, at this point in time, for the water jump that is approaching soon. And then everything has to be dried by the fire. We built the camp and are experiencing a bit of life in the field right now. And you have to say, every day you're naturally grateful when you know now it's time to get into a warm sleeping bag. I'm looking forward to it, freshly prepared. Life in the field, if I put myself in the trainee's shoes, then of course it's a different story. I can just relax and enjoy it here. For me, basically nothing is really at stake. For the guys who are, of course, always under a certain amount of observation, in a positive sense, it's a whole different thing. They're right in the middle of their training. They want to pass the course, they want to do well, and of course they want to present themselves in a good light. And it's something else entirely when you're not used to this kind of Arctic cold and have maybe already been outside for weeks. it's a different story because you still have to pay attention to your equipment. You still have to make sure you don't forget anything, don't leave anything behind, and that you behave.
Like he said, you know, for him, he's a civilian. He has no stress with this. He doesn't have to pass these tests. Obviously, he's still doing his part in attempting these tests. But at the end of the day, it does not affect him like it does them. And from what I hear with like a lot of these tier 1 units, I mean, like your reputation is everything. And when you get to your unit, these guys already know who you are. These guys already know what kind of person you were in training. And from what I gather from all the podcasts and whatnot, is that these tier 1 unit guys, it doesn't stop at training, you know, through the pipeline. Like once they get to the unit, they're still proving themselves every single day. And if for whatever reason down the line, like a year later, they don't make the cut, they're gone.
Properly, especially when it comes to water your weapon and so on. I can really imagine it. For the trainees, it's nice too. They told me that themselves because of the surroundings and everything. But of course, it's something different because everyone wants to pass. Everyone wants to eventually get patched at the end.
That's a cool shot.
The little fire is burning steadily, casting a warm and gentle glow. Now it's time. Here, I've carefully made my bed, making sure it's comfortable, and we've stacked all our backpacks to the left and right as a windbreak, creating a cozy shelter. Now it's time to slowly get into the sleeping bag, making sure everything is in place with our tarp stretched securely above us to protect us from the elements. Tonight, once the fire has burned down and the embers are glowing softly, we can pull it in even closer to our little beds. That's the plan for tonight. Let's see if it works. Sleeping bag for sleeping. With whom will you be sharing it, please, during the main phase of the activity? First the briefing in the hangar, then it was out into real life in the field. The commando candidates are now on their own, and I'm right in the middle of it. Training and exams inviting cold, and the first real test by fire was coming up. But that was just the beginning. I love it because in the Arctic climate zone, I feel at home.
All right, that was probably the longest video I've ever shot on YouTube. And it was a little bit slow. There's parts of it that kind of could have been cut, but I'm just going to keep it all in there. But if you stuck around till the end of the video, there's maybe like 2 or 3 of you here. But let me know what you want to see next. And as always, we'll see you on the next one.